All right, today we're going to dive into a really powerful mental toolkit, one that's designed to answer a question that is, let's face it, super frustrating.
You know the one. I mean, we've all asked it, right? You see it everywhere, in the news, at work, maybe even in the mirror. Some brilliant colleague makes a just disastrous business decision, or a really careful friend falls for an obvious scam, and you just think, what is going on here?
Well, there's one person who obsessed over this question more than pretty much anyone, the late great Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, he wasn't a psychologist by trade, but he just knew that understanding human error was the secret to avoiding it, not just in high-stakes investing, but in life itself. So let's see what he dug up.
Okay, so you've got to wonder, right? Why would a billionaire investor spend so much time on psychology? For Munger, this wasn't just some academic hobby. Nope. It was a matter of survival in a world that's just full of irrationality.
And this quote, this just gets right to the heart of his whole philosophy. Munger didn't see these mental mistakes as, interesting little quirks. He saw them as venomous snakes, these dangerous forces that could strike you at any moment and completely ruin you. He believed that if you couldn't spot them, you were basically walking through a field of snakes, totally vulnerable.
So after years and years of reading and just watching people, Munger did something truly remarkable. He didn't just have some vague idea about these snakes. He actually cataloged them. He built a real, concrete system for understanding them.
And this is it. He laid out 25 distinct tendencies. You can think of them as the built-in glitches in our mental hardware, the things that cause us to misread reality. Now, I know it looks like a lot to take in, but Munger's real genius was turning this kind of complex list into a super practical tool. Look, trying to absorb all 25 at once, that's just overwhelming. So to really see how this framework works, we're going to zoom in on two of the most powerful tendencies on his list.
First up, we've got the one Munger himself considered the most important of all, the overwhelming and, frankly, often underestimated power of incentives.
Munger was convinced that if you can truly understand someone's incentives, you can predict their behavior with just stunning accuracy. He had that famous line, right? Show me the incentive, and I will show you the outcome. The big insight here is that incentives aren't just a small factor. They're often the main driver of pretty much everything we do.
And this story, this story illustrates the point perfectly. Federal Express was having a huge problem with its late-night shift. Packages just weren't getting sorted on time. They tried everything and nothing worked. So what was the problem? Well, they were paying people by the hour. The incentive was to spend more time there, not less. So once they flipped the system and started paying people per shift and letting them go home once the work was done, poof, the problem just vanished overnight. They changed the incentive and the behavior changed, just like that.
All right, let's move on to our second tendency. This is a big one, and it explains why we so often just follow the herd, even when that herd is heading straight off a cliff. Yeah, this is our automatic subconscious desire to just copy what everyone else is doing. It's a mental shortcut, right? Instead of doing the hard work of figuring things out for ourselves, our brain just glances around and goes, well, what's everyone else doing? I'll just do that.
And this is where it gets really dangerous. When we're feeling confused or stressed, that pull of the crowd becomes almost irresistible. Our brain just defaults to what feels safe, safety in numbers. I mean, this is the engine behind market bubbles and financial panics. People literally stop acting on information and just start reacting to the mob. It's a hugely powerful force for making bad judgments.
Okay, so these tendencies are powerful all by themselves, but Munger's most important insight, maybe his biggest, was what happens when they start to combine and feed off each other, and he had a pretty special name for it. He called it the Lollapalooza effect. This is when you get 2, 3, 4, or even more of these tendencies, all pushing in the exact same direction at the exact same time. And the result? It's not just additive, it's an explosive, non-linear outcome. This is where the really epic, world-changing misjudgments happen.
Just picture this, right? A hot new investment pops up. First, social proof kicks in. All your friends are getting rich. Then, boom, authority misinfluence joins the party. Some famous analyst on TV says it's a sure thing, it can't lose. And then finally, stress influence takes over. That fear of missing out, FOMO, it becomes totally unbearable. These forces combine to create this powerful vortex of irrationality. It's a perfect storm for a terrible, terrible decision. That's a Lollapalooza.
So, if our brains are wired with all these glitches, and they can combine into these massive Lollapalooza effects, what are we supposed to do? Are we just Doomed? Well, according to Munger, absolutely not. He gave us a simple but really powerful antidote.
Munger's solution is actually pretty simple. Awareness is the antidote. The whole key is to use these 25 tendencies not as some abstract ideas, but as a practical, real-world checklist. So, before you make a big career move, a major investment, or any critical decision, you run it through the checklist. You ask yourself, am I being swayed by incentives here? Is social proof clouding my judgment? Am I ignoring evidence because of my own biases?
Just by consciously checking for these errors, you can start to counteract your brain's worst instincts and make clearer, more rational decisions. It's really a tool for thinking about how to think. And that leaves us with one final question to ask ourselves. Now that you know they exist, which of these hidden glitches are you going to look for first in your own life?